And welcome back to the WatchTower Film Podcast, the film review podcast on the Towercast Network. We are live from Aaron and George's Film Cafe. It's good to be back, man. It's good to be back. I was back from LA. There's nothing like this film cafe, okay? There's nothing like Aaron and George's Film Cafe. They take care of us. They have the best cafe there. Oh, yeah, they ran out tonight. I think there's another pot brewing. So hopefully you guys can get some cafe there. Oh, yeah.
Batch coming on.
Yeah, but glad to be back. It's October. It's spooky month.
Friday the
This
13th.
particular film, we're going to talk about why it was picked. We heard quite a few people not too happy about us not picking part one, but we'll get there. So we'll explain why. But before I do, I got to introduce my fellow co-host, Mr. Michael Lalo.
Hello, I am here once again.
You indeed are.
I know.
How's that feel?
It's like a once a month thing.
It is indeed once a month thing. So
It's crazy.
I'll say that as well. If you haven't subscribed to our YouTube, we're on Spotify, we're on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere you consume podcasts, you can subscribe to our podcast so that you can know when we're going to be at the Film Cafe. We do it once a month. Typically every second Friday of the month, but sometimes that changes because they're busy. They got a lot of stuff going on at the Film Cafe. They got a lot of great things going on. So check out their calendar as well. Mr. John Eric Oster is joining us as well.
I give the actor's perspective, and trust me, there's some performances too.
There's some performances. Wow. I'm not sure if you said that sarcastically or not. We'll talk about it. But I'm your humble film servant, Carlos de la Torre, giving you a writing, directing perspective. And we're glad to be back at the Film Cafe talking about cinema. You know what's interesting about horror? I hope people can enlighten me because it's my least quote-unquote favorite genre. And yeah, that's fine. We're starting off like that. It's fine. And, we have quote-unquote resident horror experts in Tower that I lean on a lot. And let's kick it off with that because we go into our kind of thoughts about the film. So if you've seen this film or you saw it with us tonight, you see Mr. Austin Young over here. Let me introduce Mr. Austin Young. Damn. Yeah. He's ready. He's in the spirit. Austin Young makes sure we sound and look great over there. He's making sure. Yeah. He's going to give us the sounds. Right next to him is a chair and a microphone. So if you want to give your thoughts on the film, we highly encourage you to come give us your 10 cents. You give us a rating. You give us a quick thought. I liked it. I hated it. All is welcome. Anything. Now, I'm probably going to put somebody on the spot to kick it off. I'm going to put Mr. Eric Sanchez on the spot to come and give us his thoughts because he picked the film tonight. He picked the film tonight. We asked Eric, hey, man, we're going to do, we did some other great ones some have come out. We did The Shining, Nosferatu, a lot of great picks for October. But we said, hey, we want to do some Friday the 13th. Which one do you recommend? And he said Part 6. Part 6. And I want to get his perspective. So Eric, can you come up to the mic and give us your thoughts?
Bring your beer.
Like you said, this is a resident horror.
Yeah, this is what I call the Tower Productions resident horror expert because Eric really does know the most about horror.
More things you might think of.
more than anybody I know. I mean, and it's
all three owners in the building tonight.
Yeah, it's true. All three owners in the building tonight.
It's fake.
It's fake. No, it's the real prop from the movie.
Yeah.
You didn't know?
So what's the question?
That's why all the blood and murder's on that.
So why am I up here?
This is why I love Eric.
What do you want to know?
Why did you pick number 6?
Why Part 6, man? Because you're not the only person who's told me this is their favorite. Their favorite Jason film.
It's a two-parter. Why not the Halloween one?
Because Rudy did Halloween.
Well, Halloween 2.
Yeah, I guess so.
Also, there was a lot of murmurs saying, why couldn't it have been the first one? The
why
sixth one sucks.
Why 6? You gave us this recommendation. You said do Part 6. Why Part 6?
All right. So I didn't let you guys pick the first one because since this was going to be for a general audience for anyone to come in.
Right.
Well, everyone's suspecting Jason.
Right. And the first one doesn't have Jason, in case you don't know.
It has his mom.
It has his mom. Very terrifying.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But the whole point of Friday the 13th is to see Jason fuck shit up, right?
Right.
And from all of them, I picked 6 because that's the one I think it's the highest rating one from all the Friday 13s. And I know why. Had a decent budget for it. And also,
and already had a following. I mean, the five of them were popular. Friday the 13th as a franchise was already popular.
Yeah, and let it be known that this series, I mean,
even up to this part, like this came out in 1986, and the first one came out in 1980. These were basically popped out year after year after year.
And like, have you guys seen those videos that are out about like when they're pitching, some dude on coke is like pitching something in the studio, like those social media ones. All right, the new Fast and the Furious, boom, this is how it's go. Give me a Mad Lib, and that's basically what these end up being. Like,
there was a lot of coke behind the scenes.
Well, yeah, I mean that's part too. But yeah, it's just these were getting punched out like crazy.
Huh?
Now, how many are there? What, 13, 12, something like that?
It'll be
I think they're 11.
13.
11? Okay.
11 total. So I also picked this one because it might be the first Friday 13 to become self-aware.
Yeah.
As a horror genre, like it becomes self-aware of its cliches.
Yeah.
And like if you see the start of the movie, it starts off with the James Bond spoof.
Right.
And,
What you told me was like, hey, I think this one has a ton of like film homage, like homages to horror films, homage to, and I agree. I that's what sold me, and the whole self-aware thing. It's funny that you're bringing it up because we all know Wes Craven directed Scream, but the writer of Scream was entirely inspired by this film.
Yeah.
Like to become self-aware of the tropes.
But what was the homage to 007?
The opening sequence,
Why?
sequence, because that's how the 007. But instead of a machete slashing the screen, it's a gun shooting at the screen.
I think he's asking why they did that.
Oh
yeah,
for funsies.
Yeah, just for the hell of it. It's
because like at this point, like, dude, this is a 6-1 in the fucking series. So it's like,
are they really gonna lose
what else
an
can we
audience?
do?
Yeah.
You know?
Okay.
Yeah. It's,
when you say art versus commerce, right? This is, you're right, a very highly rated one in the franchise, and it made the least amount of money of any of them.
Shocking.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it didn't lose money. It gained its budget. It did pretty well. It's the first Friday the 13th to not get number one in the box office of the entire franchise. So if it's a better one, quote unquote, and it just didn't people didn't get it.
It's
right?
the better one, and also this is the first time we see Jason zombified, immortal Jason.
Yeah.
Yeah,
because his human side has already died.
It just happens every film after this one, pretty much, right? I mean,
every film after this one, he's practically immortal Jason.
Right.
So it's a zombie version of himself.
Yeah.
That's why like there's a part in the movie where like he kills like those guys with the paintball guns.
Yeah. Right.
Where like he what does he do? Like he rips the guy's arm off.
Right.
Yeah, and then he looks surprised too, like with his increased strength.
No.
I guess.
I read something that this is the first Jason movie where he's not running, but he's speed walking.
Yeah,
you know?
like, is he running? It looks like he's power walking.
The crazy thing, that paintball sequence, it was the first scene they shot for the film, and sadly, the first actor was fired after that day. After Paramount got the dailies, they were like, "This dude's too fat, man." So these were executive words, not mine. We need to cast somebody with a better build. And they casted like this army guy who was a manager of a restaurant who had no acting experience, no stunt experience. But he was an army guy, he was a military guy, had a military background.
Had me fooled.
And the reason they were like, well, you know what, if we get him, if he's immortal, if he's not human anymore, he's going to be more straight to the point, more with his moves, with his walks, with everything, right? So it sold it, I guess. I mean,
it's a little bit more fast-paced.
Can you enlighten us, like, I was looking at the first ones to kind of prep up for this one since it's like 6 in the series, and I noticed that like the person who would play Jason basically changed like in each and every one. Like, I mean,
I think the first 2, 3, and 4, it's the same actor, no?
No.
And then
No, they're all different.
See, that's the cool thing with Michael Myers. It was the same one, all through like.
No, I kind of changed.
Yeah,
a few films too.
No.
Get out of here.
Yeah.
So even in the first Halloween film, like the official one was Nick Castle for Halloween.
Right.
But in the first one, they also had different people play Michael Myers.
He ended up coming back for one of the newer ones, right?
Yeah,
Nick
he
Castle.
like a cameo, but like he was behind the mask, so it's like,
Yeah. I what's your thoughts on this film compared, and where does it sit for you in the franchise, Eric?
My thoughts on this one, just
Have you seen them all?
Oh yeah,
I'm sure. Yeah, he's.
this was great. It's a fun watch. It's like a fresh take a fresh air, because like 1 through 4 is like continuous. Like it picks up right after where it left off. And then the fifth one is like the black sheep of the franchise, I think. And
then we get Jason Goes to Hell, or
no? The fifth one is A New Beginning.
A New Beginning.
Yeah, because the fourth one's the final chapter.
Final chapter. Yeah.
No, and then the seventh one is A New Blood.
Oh yeah,
isn't it right?
That one's wild,
but,
man.
as I understand it correctly,
stuff.
it's because the kid, what was his name? The character's name?
Jarvis.
Tommy
Jarvis.
Yeah.
Like, so he was in part 3, right? 3 and 4.
Oh, he was in 4.
Not the same actor, by the way. They recasted his part 3 times
they recasted him
too.
3 times.
come
So
on.
what's that actor's
You're
name?
killing me.
This one, like
No pun intended.
Corey Feldman.
Corey Feldman. That's right.
He was he was
The
Jarvis
the
as a
first
kid in the
Jarvis.
4th one,
Oh wow.
and then the 5th one he was this traumatized kid, or like a younger adult.
Yeah.
And then this one, he's like, dude, his personality changes from like the 5th one to this one, because this one's he's more confident. He's a ladies guy. You know,
He's an '80s hero.
Yeah,
you know,
he became an
he's the
80s
typical-
hero.
Tom Cruise could have played this part. Like that's like the archetype that he was playing, right? That's fun. And you know what? They stopped using this character after this film. That's why the new one's called A New Blood. They wanted people to understand that it's not this continuous thing. We're not going to pick off where we left off.
Also,
right?
that was literally the last one for that one.
Well, quote unquote.
For that one, yeah.
But you know what I like about this one, Eric? That I don't know if you know this, Eric, or you. I'm sure you do, but I caught on really quickly on them like paying respects to other filmmakers, including John Carpenter in
Which
this
part?
film. There's a town named Carpenter that they keep referring to. Oh yeah, the Carpenter, the next town over.
Yeah, and I
It's-
think there's
it's
like
just
a homage to like Boris Karloff as well.
Boris Karloff. Yeah,
Yeah.
there is. There's a ton of those little nods are really cool.
And
obviously.
Frankenstein is all over this thing.
Yeah. Well, that's how he came back, right? I mean, it's the
Exactly.
light.
Yeah.
That was an ode to
Beautiful.
Frankenstein. So I thought that was great. That was a part. And I kept waiting for this film to disappoint me. Here's the thing, right? And it has nothing to do with Camp Crystal Lake. These slasher films are campy. The keyword being campy. And this is exactly that. It leaned
Campy?
into that. It leaned into it being this campy, almost...
Goofy.
It's
Yeah.
very, it is. This one is like very cartoony too.
yeah,
Like,
yeah, extremely.
They didn't take itself serious.
No,
But
and
it's-
I thought that was going to be like a big disappointment to me. It wasn't. It was like, okay, you knew exactly what you wanted to be, and I respect that. Like,
Also, I feel like when you watch the first ones compared to like these ones, you see the limitations of the filmmakers when they first started because
Yeah.
the kills are so basic. Like in the first one, it's these little quick like stabs, a little bit of blood, and then okay, cut, and then
No,
now we're just
exactly.
gonna keep moving on.
to the point
And this one,
where-
it's like it really sits with it. Which I
Tom
haven't seen.
McLaughlin was the writer director of this film, and to the point where this dude didn't even care, man. Like, you do what I'd do if I was working for Paramount and then had access to their thing, you know. So you guys remember the scene in the RV where he takes out his knife from the pocket?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
Rambo's knife.
Yeah.
From Rambo 2.
Oh, I was like, where's the machete?
Oh my God.
That's like the Rambo
Took out
knife.
Rambo's knife
Yeah.
and did one of the kills with that. What's crazy about this is usually studios will encourage people or discourage, you know, the filmmaker. Hey, man, there's too much blood, dude. There's too much killing. This film had a body count of 18. Before it did, it had a body count of like 14 or 15. And the studio were like, dude, we need more killing.
More.
We need more killing
Yeah.
because we're afraid. This is an actual thing. Paramount was afraid that this film was going to get a PG-13 rating.
For only having 16?
Yeah. Well, I mean, look, there's one sex scene, no nudity.
First one with no nudity.
First one with no nudity. First
Yeah.
Friday the 13th.
Was this the first one that had kids? I never seen kids on the
actual
No, they
kids.
have a. I mean,
Oh, no, the-
part 4
the
had
fourth
a
one.
kid.
fourth one did, okay.
Yeah, I had one.
Corey
kid.
Feldman.
Right. No, but I think he means on the campgrounds, like
Yeah,
actual
exactly.
like kids
Well, but
running
this
around.
is the first. Like, I think this is the first one that they open officially with kids.
Right.
See, I
right,
knew
right,
it was
right.
kind of different.
Another thing, by the way, on the opening is he intentionally wanted to open the film right in the middle of the action. You know, right, yeah. Not like this kind of build up, but we're on our way to the cemetery to dig
Yeah.
this fucker up, you know. And then the fog, the moon, classic horror kind of
Classic 50s.
Yeah,
monster
it's
horror
so
film.
good. It's so good in that regard. But yeah, this director was leaning heavy into these tropes, as Eric says. He knew exactly what he wanted to do, and I really respect that. I think that's cool, man. Not to take yourself too seriously, and he wasn't a well-known director, by the way. In fact, they were looking for the guy who directed the last one to direct this one. They were just gonna make him the writer, but the producer's like, no, this dude's got it. Like, let him do his thing, and
Yeah,
Not
from what
bad.
I heard, that part 5 was such a disaster behind the scenes.
yeah,
So
that too. Yeah.
Rating.
Yeah. Rating.
for me personally,
Mm-hmm.
give it a solid 8.
Solid 8. Okay.
Is that for horror? Just for horror?
Yeah.
What a weird
It's
thing.
too- this one, I
Yeah,
don't
this one
know.
you
We
can't-
can't.
Yeah, we can't.
The reason, so what happens is typically, especially for horror films and comedies, we actually did that for comedies too.
Yeah, we're gonna
is
offend
what
Eric
we
right
will. I know. We'll give one rating for horror, you know, in whatever sits in its genre, and then we'll give one rating for as a contribution to cinema. Now, if you've heard our podcast before, if you've seen episodes, you know, we talk highly about like foreign cinema and classic cinema and just what we consider to be big, strong contributions to cinema. Not that horror isn't, it is, but I always fight for this genre in the sense that Eric and I have these conversations that horror is its own thing. It needs to be analyzed as its own thing.
Yeah.
You can't take horror too seriously, and if those that you can, then you kind of get bumped into the contribution of cinema. Things like Get Out,
It has
things
to be
like
really-
A Midsummer.
I know we're not doing like a larger retrospective on the entire Friday the 13th
Right,
franchise.
we're not.
But when you look at it, I feel like so many of the tropes developed in like the early ones and even in this one, which it understood what it was going for and really defined its voice. It gave tone for what a slasher film should be.
Yeah, definitely.
A lot of these kind of like the victim that keeps being chased throughout the entire film. A lot of these like gruesome kind of killings and the way that they're exaggerated.
Yeah.
The frisky teens. I feel like it's a lot of those tropes.
I love that you use the word frisky.
Yeah.
Now I don't know about you, Eric, but I don't remember, or any of you. I don't ever remember
frisky teens.
frisky teens in the films. No, that's the only thing I remember from it. No, I don't ever remember the leads. When you watch a Jason film, you watch Jason. I never remember who the characters are.
Yeah.
Even if they live at the end, I could give a shit. Like we're gonna have newer people in the next film. It's not really
It
gonna
doesn't
matter.
really matter. I think if anyone, the only character everyone remembers is Jarvis, because he's the one. He's the only one who's been able to kill Jason.
Yeah, but didn't they? I mean, they do this in other films, and it becomes successful. I mean, Halloween. There's a continuation of the bloodline. There's a continuation of the arc.
Jamie Lee.
It's a little, Jamie Lee Curtis character, obviously.
Well, she only survives into the sequel, and then
H2O, and then we get her back for the new one.
But that was like
H2O was
10
awesome.
years
But
later.
my point is, there's a through line, right? And
Yeah.
then something like this, it's about this being its own thing, right?
Yeah.
And it's not meant to be a continuation. The only through line there really is like his mom, his story, his connection to the lake, right? We see that throughout.
I think each one of these, the only thing people are really coming for at this point is like the main character, Jason,
Right.
and then they want to see what. Oddly enough, the way I would describe it, like shenanigans he's gonna get into, like how he's gonna kill somebody. Yeah,
But here's
like
the
that's all
thing,
you
though,
care about.
It's funny, when you ask anybody, if you're a horror fan, you're gonna ask them who's the main character of this, and it's gonna be Jason.
Yeah.
When you're following an arc, he's the antagonist, right? And there's no story arc; he's just out to kill.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's an
But I
interesting
mean,
conversation.
that's
at that
also
point.
characteristic of like the slasher genre.
Right,
that
right.
it's a subcategory in horror.
Yeah.
But it's only focused on the killer and the way that the killer kills because all
Which
the other
is-
characters don't really kind of matter
Look,
at that point. Yeah.
I'm getting better at it, I think, but I'm the wrong person to ask for stuff like this because when Eric would first recommend films for me, or I would start watching horror a little more consistently, I'd be like, dude, but there's no arc, or there's this, it's too lazy. This is lazy, right? Whatever, and he'd be like, dude, stop. You're taking it way too seriously. You're stop paying attention to all this shit. This is just about.
Yeah, you just gotta.
The biggest example he gave me was Michael Myers. Like Michael Myers is just the epitome of evil. No background, no nothing. He's just evil, in human fashion.
Manifested,
Yeah,
yeah.
manifested.
Beautiful.
That's it. Don't overthink it. And ever since he gave me that advice, I've been like, okay, I'm not gonna overthink an arc. I'm not when I'm watching something like this, right? And we get in these conversations of like B horror, C horror, these kind of films that people will probably never see in their lifetime. Hopefully you do. Eric can give you a laundry list of recommendations for that type of thing. But it's its own form of cinema that doesn't that belongs in the book, belongs in the Bible of these kinds of films, or of cinema in general, because it's storytelling in another fashion. It's fresh storytelling in the not so orthodox way
It's
of
also
thinking.
the epitome of genre. Because when we look at this film and say, okay, is this going to be a perfect example of, like you said, character arc,
Right.
or like beats in a story,
Yeah.
you're going to feel like, no, you don't really find those fundamentals in there.
Yeah.
But when you say, okay, but for the category of horror,
Yeah.
does it satisfy all the beats? It satisfies everything and more,
This is the last question I'll ask Eric before we move on to somebody else. Somebody else has a thought, but I don't. This is one of the first times I'm gonna say this about a horror film. This is a contribution to cinema only because it did expand the genre,
Yeah.
right? Everybody modeled their films after this. To think about the Scream franchise. They're in their what installment? 10th?
I would
eighth
argue
installment. The Scream.
I would argue
they're on the 6th one.
Sixth one. Okay, so 6. It's
What
something
did
like
it be,
that.
Michael Myers, 1978?
He did come out first.
Yeah, but there's such a different feel.
I mean, but the whole slasher, like the whole walk.
No, that's a lie.
No,
it's-
elaborate.
You're wrong, small child.
The first official slasher could be Psycho, but the one
No.
that popularized it and that inspired Halloween was Black Christmas. 1973, I think, or in the 76.
Were these
Well, the
were
most
those
successful
two
one.
franchises competitors?
You mean Halloween and
Yeah,
Friday the
because I
13th?
know that like for a few of them they came out same year, but like where Halloween would come out in October, Friday the 13th came out like
See,
that
I don't,
summer.
I don't know, Eric. You
Ooh,
tell me. I
that's a
mean,
good
we
one.
grew up in a different generation, right? We grew up in the
well-
DVD VHS generation, which they were competitors in that fact. Look, for
Yeah.
me, what opened up my world about something like this is like Freddy versus Jason, right? That's the one I grew up on. That's
really?
what opened up my world of
That was the
like
first
going
one?
back to the originals, right? And
Yeah, dude, that's way too.
well,
Yeah,
I was gonna reference Jason X, but nobody wants to talk about Jason
yeah,
X.
that's the
okay?
worst one.
You put anybody in space and it's shitty. So,
Hey, hold on. Space is awesome.
Yeah,
but my point is,
Spaceballs, watch out.
I think, yeah. I mean, yeah, you can't show. They like, what do they? They use the hydrogen on somebody's
Yeah,
some
yeah.
chicks. Yeah, I mean, that's my point is, I think I don't. You're right. The other films did come before this, and I think as far as competitors go, I don't think they cared. I think they all kind of just wanted to push the envelope. I don't
Yeah.
think they were really competing.
Also money, so
Let's ask
Well,
our
sure.
1980s historian Jason.
And who's a big horror fan too, by the way.
Did they compete?
Am I the only one that was alive when this came out?
you were alive by then.
What 80, 86 maybe,
Yeah,
pal.
yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Were you 20 or
So tell us, Jason. Jason, when you were a boy, tell us. You know, when you were a boy.
No, he was
snuck
already
into
like.
it?
When I was a young lad, back in 1986.
Right.
I mean, obviously I was a kid, so I don't remember much, but
Damn it.
I was fun. Now that I was thinking back on,
Yeah.
franchise or whatever.
Yeah.
I dressed up one year as Jason Voorhees.
Uh huh.
I was like 8
Voorhees.
or something. And long story short, I had a bloody machete, and then I was trick or treating, and I walked up to a house, and there was like these girls dressed up like princesses or whatever, and they're laughing at me. I'm like, what the hell? I'm Jason. Why are
I'm
you laughing?
scary.
Turn around, and I'm like, okay. And I turn around. If the fucking machete wasn't stuck to my ass because of
The paint.
and ever since then, I never dressed up as Jason
Right.
again.
You touch on a good point, though. We all. I think I dressed up as Jason as a kid once, right? I mean, I think
I
it was
bought that costume today.
just for tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously we can talk about legacy, but I think that the question here is, were they? Sure, money was always a competitive factor, right, for any piece of film, and horror films blew up in the '80s. So,
Yeah. Merchandise.
but was it I belong to this camp versus this camp? Was it I prefer Michael Myers over Jason? Was it I prefer Freddy
Because
Krueger?
at
You know what I mean?
a certain point in time, they started doing things like Freddy
If you're a
versus
horror fan, you're
Jason.
right.
yeah,
and
yeah.
all
This
that.
was the early 2000s,
like-
though. We didn't get there till the early 2000s.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
when I
Those are like
was a-
Freddy. And
Later on.
Later, it came later on. I think Freddy
I think
versus
it came
Jason.
around our generation.
Yeah.
Freddy versus Jason
yeah.
definitely
Yeah.
helped pick
Yeah,
sides. Like,
Freddy versus
I'm more of a Freddy guy, or more of a
Yeah, that's
Jason
true.
guy.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
yeah.
Wow. Give it up for Eric. Thank you. Anybody else? Anybody else have something to say? Anybody else about it? It doesn't necessarily have to be about this Friday the 13th, but any of them that strikes you or you have thoughts about this particular film?
Or if you don't want to come up, just give a hearty thumbs up so we know you like the film.
Or thumbs down if you didn't like it.
Did you guys like the film?
I'm with you. I'm with you guys.
That's a nice middle thumb. Okay.
Yeah.
Had I known who I was actually pretty jazzed because I thought it was the very first one.
The original, yeah.
Because my daughter and her friend had not seen it before.
Oh, okay,
Oh,
okay, okay.
dang.
I thought, okay.
Let's
if
kick
we're
it off
gonna
with the
check
first,
out
yeah.
For the first time, it's going to be in a nice setting. Plus, I'm with you all. At one point, you kind of figure, okay, it's the same thing regurgitated to a certain degree.
Yeah.
And the reason why that is, I think,
Yeah.
is because if someone is a true fan of a movie,
Mm-hmm.
then they're going to need that itch scratched every single time.
Yeah, that's true.
And just like it's kind of gone to full bullshit with the the Fast and Furious before, because at first it was just dudes
Just
racing.
exactly.
Now they're jumping out of planes or what have you.
Space.
In space.
So, exactly, but
Right.
it's like, there's only so many different ways Lois can yell help. There's only so many different ways that a girl can run away in the woods.
Sure.
So they need to incorporate that.
Yeah.
But they still have to make it fresh. There's still the burden.
Yeah.
Keeping your audience raptured, and it can't go too far. He can't become.
Right.
That's why they have to go to New Blood, because
Right.
if he's unkillable,
Right.
then there's no longer a challenge or the hope that at the
Yeah.
end of the movie he's going to be contained in some way.
Right.
So that's the only reason. Had I known that you all were actually going for, we're going to marinate in camp,
Right.
that would have set the tone. I would have been like, all right.
Yeah.
That's a different thing. But I was at first, but it was a nice experience nonetheless. Yeah, and I was alive. I was 10 when this came out.
When this
Okay.
And
Did you see it as a kid? Did
I
you?
did not.
Okay.
I watched a lot of my parents let me watch this stuff when I was
Sure.
and I kind of was scared in the beginning, but my mom was like pointing out all the campy stuff, and it started to become not as scary anymore. So
Right.
And I love the art. I love watching movies.
Yeah.
And so I'm not as particular, and I can appreciate it. Like you said, you don't have to overanalyze or overthink
Yeah.
it. And
That's what makes us very different movie fans. Because
she's very.
I'll be like,
Yin yang.
feel like, just give artistic license, just shut up and just enjoy it. And I'm like, that's not blood red.
Yeah. No, that's my wife and I too. So
it's-
I can attest to that.
It's really interesting that you brought up your daughter and a friend that they wanted to kind of start it off and see the first one and everything. And just recently, I had never seen the franchise. You always hear about it, but I'd never gone and really watched the movies. And when you watch the first one, expecting what we always see in costumes and all that, the hockey mask and this guy going around, the first one
his
has
mom.
none of that. Yeah,
his mom running around.
It's so different. All it really introduces is the camp where it all started, and it introduces a little bit of that lore of why he does what he does.
Yeah.
And even the second one, it starts to pick up, but he has a potato sack on his head, and that's all you're kind of getting. And then not till the third one,
Right.
he steals the mask from some kid just randomly, and then that's what he ends up using forever.
He
But
was so disappointed when he found that out. When he's like, dude, I thought there was this whole lore to the mask. No, he just stole it off
he
some kid.
just jacked it off some
player.
child. But it's
Fat dude.
yeah. I was expecting it to be oh, he played hockey, then he drowned. No, not this.
No.
Yeah, see, that would have made sense. I was expecting that.
Yeah,
exactly.
no,
No,
way
but,
overthinking it.
but it's interesting because now seeing those and then watching this one feels like such an epitome of what a Friday the 13th movie is gonna feel like when it comes to the murders and Jason running around and all
Yeah.
that. Eric kind of said, it's very self-aware of what it's trying to be. So this one almost feels like a better
It forces you to enjoy. It forces you to just
introduction
dude, yeah.
to what that world is.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if you want to go back, you can start to see them all. But
Let me ask, how old are your daughter? How old is your daughter and her friend?
She is 18.
18. Okay. See, I think I don't know. The world has changed, but my older brother showed me these films when I was a kid, and I was 7 and he was 12 or whatever. So I think kids need that a little bit, right? To oh, this is kind of naughty, right? I feel
wrong,
edgy
yeah.
watching this. It's wrong.
I'm gonna go jail.
But at the same time, it sets up the stage for I didn't like horror films growing up, and it was probably because of that.
Yeah.
It sets up the stage for if you're going to become a fan of them or if you're going to be not for me.
You and I are, if you're like me, you're probably a purist. And at this
Sure.
time, by now, you know how you can tell the difference between a person writing comedy, writing an actual script or prose of some sort.
Right.
And you can tell the difference between that and this new AI technology.
Sure.
That is right. You can tell the difference, right? I think people like us that grew up in this generation, there's a difference between seeing something like this where it's just like the difference. The first Terminator was a great movie when they were thirsty and they had to make the special effects, whereas later on, it's all CGI.
It's all CGI, yeah.
Who cares about that one, right?
Right.
I think the difference is that now, if there's going to be a movie like this, there's so much, there's green screen, there's so much computer, so much that there is something that you can't put your finger on that kind of takes you out of that element.
Sure.
Whereas when you see these, and it's very, very organic.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
it's very raw, and you can imagine yourself running through this cheeseball field
Yeah.
with camper with
Yeah.
you appreciate it.
We talk. We
So you
talk.
are more absorbed into the story.
Absolutely. We talk a lot about this, especially with our own filmmaking and how important it is to be intentional. And I think this filmmaker, I think Tom McLaughlin was intentional. He knew what he wanted out of this. He knew what odes he wanted to pay to certain filmmakers. He knew what odes he wanted to pay to the genre. And he knew how he wanted to get the audience's attention. Whereas other filmmakers will get this as an assignment, know that there's a built-in audience, be lazy about it,
Be lazy.
and say, well, as long as I give them what they want, I think we'll be all right. We'll give them the moments they want. The rest of it could be shit. And in this scenario, I don't think it was the case. I think this was one of the first, films of this genre, of this era. I hate the 80s films for the most part. I really do. I just do. They're just bad. They're
They
just
hate
cheesy.
you.
They hate me
Yeah,
back.
bro.
They really do. But horror really, really, really hit its stride in crafting a good story in the late 70s and then in the 80s. Horror is one of the only genres that I think was pulling, doing something original, doing something fresh. And if they weren't, they were leaning into the fact that I'm going to have fun with this. And you can see it on the screen. Like, I had fun with this, and I think it's exactly that.
I'm assuming you also liked Scream, because that was so meta.
Yeah.
It was literally
Yeah.
looking at
Yeah.
everything, every trope, every single. I mean, it was taking the genre and just totally calling out every single
Yeah.
thing, but they still made it fun. And after a while, you see these movies, and you get used to not getting too close to anybody.
Yeah.
Because they're all like the Star Trek guy in the red shirt that's going to die when they
Exactly.
go on that planet.
You know what I think is so interesting about that is the new Scream films, right? I haven't seen the brand new one, but the one before it. I got attached to the characters, knowing that they're gonna die, and it still helped. Like, it still took me through the motions that this filmmaker wanted me to go through.
I got annoyed by the character.
You got annoyed by the new ones?
Bro.
Why?
Because they're just so dumb still.
That's the
the point of a teenage slasher.
a teenage slasher,
Exactly,
right?
yeah.
Dumb- In this scenario, what was the word you so eloquently used?
Farthead?
No, the kids, the kinky kids, or what did you say?
Oh, them frisky teens.
These frisky teens,
Yeah.
they're all hopped up on wanting to have sex. Dude, they don't give a shit about their surroundings in the woods. It's true. But I do think that if we compare it to something like Halloween still knows how to hold its audience. I mean, the newer films are still pretty great.
Yeah, not the Rob Zombie ones, right?
There's a whole
Calm down.
backstory to those films. Eric and I were talking about this the other day. There's a whole backstory to the studio taking control of zombies pictures. There was a whole.
I just hate when they
there's a
change
whole
the story and they change the hell out of the story. The mom was a horse? Get out of here. Get out of here, man.
I'm a sucker for origin stories, man, which is why I liked zombies, at least the first Halloween that he did. Short of that, they were pretty bad. But anyways,
Yeah.
thank you so much for giving us
Yeah,
your perspective on it.
appreciate it.
Yeah. What was your name?
Sonia.
Sonia
Sonia.
and Sonia and Scott. Thank you.
Thank
Give it up to Sonia and
guys.
Scott.
Appreciate it.
Anybody else? Before we go on a longer rant to kind of close out the show, but for Jason or Anthony? No?
Anthony.
We haven't heard from Anthony, man. I'm just gonna throw it out there.
Yeah.
He's a horror fan. He's a filmmaker.
By Number Productions.
By Numbers Productions.
I know it's production.
Let's give it up for Anthony.
That's what you thought of it, man. What you thought of it, bro.
You just came back from Japan, man.
Yeah.
He's got to give us some
Living the
Japanese
life.
horror.
Japanese horror over here. What's up, Anthony?
Konnichiwa.
Tell us, man. What'd you think?
Give it to
Well,
me straight.
to be honest, I really don't watch a lot of horror films. It's like my least genre that I watch.
Thank you, Anthony.
I mean, when I would watch horror movies, I would watch them during the day because I would get nightmares.
Sure,
Yeah.
sure,
Yeah,
sure.
I
we
would.
know.
And so, this movie, what I really liked, I got here pretty late, but I really liked the car scene. I was looking
Yeah.
at the 1977
The Camaro.
Orange.
And so when I watch movies, I really look at the chase scenes and the car action scenes and everything, and I'm like, oh, this is cool. They have it in this horror film.
Yeah, you don't see a ton of that. You're right. At least in
Yeah.
this franchise, because he's always walking somewhere. We're always in the woods.
You even have the RV flip.
That's true.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
a good point. Yeah. What did you say? Is there's half the budget right
Oh,
there.
and then
dude.
For
When he
most
goes on
of like
top.
the series, the big trope is that the one escape vehicle is always broken out of gas.
Yeah,
like
no,
it's
they played
bad.
with that. They
Yeah,
played
they
with that.
played
Like,
with that,
oh, this is not happening right now. No, they just flip the
gotta-
button. That's
Yeah.
all you got to do. It's great. It's a great moment.
So yeah, you could probably tell, like you said, that was like half their budget.
Yeah.
And when I was watching, I was like, how many takes did they get? Especially when they're
Sure.
kind
Just
of like
one take. Dude.
doing that like fishtail into
Right.
like the corner. I was like, how many takes did they get? Especially because it was raining and everything. So, but I mean, I like this movie, and I mean, like you said, you mentioned that you can't really be hard on yourself as a viewer because then you're just gonna like switch off.
You're gonna disappoint yourself for
Nitpicky,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah, and was it Sophia or Sonia? Sonia. She had mentioned the Fast and the Furious, and I mean, I love all the movies. I know it's kind of
You're
crazy.
a car freak. Why
Yeah.
do you like the
That's
all
right.
the
That's
movies?
right. That's
I,
right.
I like that's my vice. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm that fan that if they keep making them, I'll go watch. You know,
You're the problem, Anthony. No,
Even racing in the moon?
in the moon, I'll go watch it. Yeah. So
Versus Transformers.
yeah, that's
right, Avengers.
Jason made it to space. Why can't
That's-
true.
that's a good
But
point.
he's immortal, though.
But at least he did like the Futurama thing, man. He got frozen in there and just went out there. There wasn't a.
Well, it wasn't frozen.
It wasn't ludicrous. No.
Well, yeah.
But anyway, yeah.
And I think with these kind of films, it's like they build a fan base where like they'll just keep making them, and people will just go watch them.
Yeah.
They don't care, you know, because they like that fun factor.
Right.
Exactly. What would you rate it?
Like I said, I got in here pretty late, like I guess midway. So I mean, the car scenes and everything, a good 6.5.
6.5.
Solid.
And if that was midway, that's a 12. Wait, 13.
Oh yeah. If you would have said no, the score doesn't double. Man.
Hold on, I got to calculate. Hold on.
Awesome. Cool.
What if we get the score in Canadian dollars?
No, you don't multiply
add 'em.
it.
Yeah, jeez.
Cool, man. Awesome. Thank you.
6.5.
Thank you.
Appreciate it, man. Now, if we made an experimental Jason picture, now Anthony would have a lot more to say about it. No, that's it's good perspective. I mean,
Yeah.
If you walk in on this midway through, or if you, I mean, look, they're playing them all month on. I think I saw them on AMC or something. They're playing all of the Friday the 13th today. I saw all of like 3 of them were playing.
Oh, and then like on video on demand, like
Yeah.
I got all 8 for like $24.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go. But yeah, so there. I mean, it's the month to watch them, right? But if you do, if you're a fan, you'll watch. It's one of those. I'm gonna drop the remote things and just watch it, right? Today, Freddy versus Jason was on, and I'm like, okay, I gotta leave it on.
Freddy
I'm
versus
doing
Jason.
whatever I'm doing. Yeah, it's fun. It's a lot of fun. Wow. Ratings, gentlemen.
I'll give my rating if you want.
All right. You gonna do the 2, or are you just gonna do?
I'll do the 1 because it's a horror film.
Okay.
I've only watched, I think, 2 and 3. I never watched the first one for some reason.
Really?
Because everybody told you to skip it because he's not in it.
And the reason I watch these films,
Yeah.
and why I like number 6 is how creative the guy with the kills. Like you said, at first it was just kind of like a knife. But
Yeah, it was these really quick like jab somebody in the stomach, they go, ugh, and then just like cut to the next thing. Where here it was like,
dude, all 3
So
heads
creative.
in one.
Yeah.
oh yeah, or like.
By the way, that was
breaking off the
a
arm.
reshoot. Like
a
because the
reshoot?
studio wanted more kills, the couple in the field or whatever, and then the drunk
Yeah.
caretaker or whatever. That that didn't exist in the script. That didn't exist in the original cut. They were like, we need more kills.
That was
the
like, we need
reshoots.
more, more bodies.
Yeah, the paintball stuff was really cool, and with the tree stuff where that dude like
Exactly.
gets
Oh,
jammed in the tree.
Happy face.
The happy face. Oh my gosh, it's so fun, dude.
That's
It's like
beautiful.
Forrest Gump, but in Friday the 13th. It's so good. I had a lot of fun with that.
But what I like
Because-
about these films is kind of like that Robert Rodriguez type of how do they do it?
Yeah.
That's what I
You got
kinda
curious on that
Yeah, I
part.
got curious. Like,
The killings or
yeah, like how does he walking around without a head? Kind of. I know that's probably just a dummy, right?
No. It's
Nah.
it's the like golden age of practical
Exactly.
effects
Right,
and
right,
seeing
right.
the way that they're able to do it. Because now with like CGI, I mean, sometimes like they can make anything happen on screen.
Especially with the eye.
Yeah,
Yeah,
whether
yeah.
it's believable or not. But like back then, it was like, oh, we have to get it all in camera. So how are you going to do this?
how
you know?
creative can we get?
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
I saw in the I think it's the second one or the third one that he's crushing some guy's head and you actually see the eye pop out at the camera, but it's like on a little
third.
string or something like that. Yeah, it's funny, but yeah, they got really creative. But this one, the most creative. That they
Yeah,
could get,
this one was the most creative. I haven't seen them all, but I like that it was fast paced. I like that there was a little humor in it, like it doesn't take
Yeah,
itself
for sure.
serious.
Oh yeah, like.
So for horror, because I'm a big Michael Myers fan and I'm a bigger Freddy fan, and then this one probably.
Really, Jason's third.
Yeah, Jason's third. I'll give it a solid 6.8.
6.8. All right, that's fair.
Well, thanks.
You're welcome.
How about you, pal?
For me,
Yeah.
I'm gonna probably give it like an 8.6.
Oh wow!
Just because these are the films that everybody knows because of how iconic they are. Defined a genre.
Yeah.
I think this gives the horror genre longevity just because it shows where there's enough creative play, like in the whole killing sequences.
Yeah.
But how to create a thorough line with like a killer and like the final girl tropes or the final victim tropes, so that way you could put this into any other type of story, any other type of killer, and it'll work. And I mean,
I don't know if this was since you saw him today.
Yeah.
The final quote unquote the post credit factor of like the eye opening. You know, he's alive. Did that happen before this one?
Yes.
Yeah.
Every time.
Yeah.
But
No.
I have a big thing on that. Wasn't he underwater?
So what?
It didn't see like he was underwater. Wouldn't it be like?
No, he was.
I think that
Oh,
he
you can
was.
cross through.
That's the
Doug.
By the way,
Cafe.
That's
by
the
way,
worst
by the
one.
way, speaking of like that factor and like practical and stuff like that, the opening sequence, the cemetery stuff, they shot it on the soundstage, man.
Yeah, I was
you know
gonna say
how
that.
appreciative of that I am.
Yeah.
That they actually shot on the soundstage.
That
I
is
just
true,
went to
too.
Paramount a couple of days ago, and it's a ghost town, dude. We don't shoot on sound stages anymore, right?
And it looked like the outside.
It looked great, and he said that the director said that he borrowed from Frank Capra, the filmmaker. He's like, use the elements in your film. So there's wind, there's rain, there's so like that
makes him
good,
more
man. It's good for it to be
It's so
soundstage.
immersive,
Super
you know.
great.
It
Super
really
great.
puts you in that tone and all that.
Yeah.
I think the Friday the 13th series always had a good idea of like how to get the audience back into the tone
Yeah.
of the film before kicking it off. Like the earlier ones, what they would do is that they kind of have like a recap moment.
Yeah.
But this one, instead of doing like a big recap, they're putting you right in that rain, the dirt, you know,
Well-
him on the ground, you know, stuff like that.
Eric, you said the black sheep of the series is part 5. Is that would you categorize that as the worst one?
You said SpaceX. You hated
Well,
that.
I mean,
Hey, no, that's great.
Okay, hell yeah, dude. Okay.
I mean, it's either between 5 and Jason Goes to Hell.
okay, it's like 7 or something,
So I
right?
think,
Or 8.
I think if anything, it might be Jason Goes to Hell, that one that a lot of people are like,
Okay.
Is
I asked
it got
because
very experimental.
if you're a hardcore either horror fan or just or this series in particular, you're always going to justify it, right? Like there isn't a bad one in the series. I think this is one of the first ones where I hear that very little. Like there's way more good than there is bad.
The Jesse franchise.
That one?
In the Friday the 13th?
Yeah, in the Friday the 13th franchise. Because I mean, even in Halloween we get H2O, we get Resurrection. Yeah.
Hey.
But and in Nightmare on Elm Street too, you know.
I gotta ask.
There's quite a few.
You said that there's 11, right?
I think we said there's 12, right? So there's 1 through 8.
the new ones.
1 through 8, Jason Goes to Hell, Jason X, and then a remake, and then
I gotta get a spoiler. Like, how does he die in the last one?
He slips on some
that one-
marbles.
I guess chronologically, it would be Jason X. He goes into space. He keeps drifting apart until he lands on Earth, back on Earth. But we don't know.
Why didn't we watch that one?
Let's talk about Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah.
I like the singing in that one.
Yeah, it's great. No, he kicks a guy's boombox, and it's so fun. But
yeah.
but yeah, no, I think there's way more good than bad in this. So a solid 8.6.
Yeah, 8.6. I just feel like for what it did to define, again, tropes and things that now we can see in other horror films, like it's super important. I mean, you know, that's longevity, that's permanence, that's stuff that you're gonna look back at these films at any point in time and think that this is where the textbook definition came from.
Sure,
There's
sure.
A quick little like side note.
Yeah.
I think you've probably heard of the game like Dead by Daylight. That whole thing. No. Yes. Okay. Well, thank you. One person. Super popular.
No, I wasn't beat up in high school.
Okay,
go on.
fine. No. But the whole game franchise is based off of the or the whole game is based off of like what happened in these, where
Yeah.
like the car wouldn't start or
okay.
the generator would be off, and it'd be these teens at a camp that would have to go and fix it. And I think at the times they didn't have the right to say Friday the 13th and make it Jason, but it was all based off of this.
Okay.
And it's like if these films didn't exist,
Sure.
the fan base couldn't exist, and pop culture and all that couldn't exist. So yeah, super solid. I think this one, just for the fact that it defined, it knew what it wanted to be.
Yeah, yeah.
It knew where it was gonna like plant its feet. Yeah, great film.
Cool. Cool,
And
cool, cool.
you,
And me.
Cineman?
I feel like it's gonna be a
Cinema.
low.
No, man. You know what? No, it's like I
Low.
said, because I didn't try to categorize it. I didn't try to make the Citizen Kane. I mean, it's.
You dumbed yourself down.
I saw you huffing paint outside.
For lack of a better word, look, man. I'll use the term when he watched one of the Wonder Woman films. He comes to me and I hadn't seen it yet. He's like, dude. He's like, how was it? Well, if you want to turn off your brain and see the pretty colors, that's what you do.
If you want to clock out,
Much
just
better than Wonder Woman.
Oh my god, it was 84, right?
84. Anyways,
the second one.
I'm not saying dumbing yourself down. I'm saying if you
But
turn
you
off your
did
brain
like
a
the
little bit,
pretty colors.
if you like the pretty colors, if you appreciate it for what it is, I'll give it a solid 8. I'll give it a solid 8 for what it is.
Wow,
Again, we're not talking
that's
about
pretty-
this grand contribution to cinema.
Okay,
We're talking
okay.
about the horror
It is a grand
space.
contribution to cinema.
I wouldn't go
It's
that
a
far.
blend into
I
it.
think it is a contribution to cinema.
Defining genre.
To a
it's
genre.
like a circle. It's a blend.
And that genre doesn't mean anything to you?
It does, but it's its own thing.
What?
That's true, huh?
Again,
You're like-
we
you're-
repeat
you're
this
kinda
every
like-
other podcast.
If this
If
was
we-
a romance film.
It is a romance film. You see the sex scene? No, but if
That ain't romance.
we can't categorize it that way because, like I said, if I give it an 8 and we gave In the Mood for Love a 10, how far off is it? It's not. It's its own thing.
Yeah,
in the
but
horror
that one
space.
defined.
Well, the whole franchise is a part of a film. Like
Yeah, film history and then the
it's part
contribution.
of
Yeah,
it. This movie itself is not.
exactly. That's my point.
Oh,
This is if you see the
okay.
last scene in Men in Black where the aliens are playing with the marbles.
Yeah.
This isn't one of the little marbles. When it comes to the
That's
conversation
a
of cinema.
fantastic ending. for
Okay,
that.
You're not
It is.
invited to my birthday. Put it on the table.
But yeah, no, I just again, if we're talking about the horror space, I think it defined a campy horror slasher. It was fun, and I had a good time. And if I saw this, if I would have seen this when it came out, if I would have seen this on the big screen, and then I would have had a good time. You know.
If I
Okay.
could
By the
recall-
way, this is also the shortest Friday the 13th film of the entire franchise. So
88
at
minutes.
86 minutes or
88.
88 minutes,
right behind
it's the shortest
If I can
film.
recall, you gave Halloween like a 6.8.
Which Halloween? The first Halloween?
Yeah, the one we did.
Nah, I don't think I went that low.
You went low.
I don't think I went 6.8 low.
I have a
Stood
question.
up.
I have a question.
Yes.
Okay, let's talk about the challenge behind like this film. Like, because you said a lot of people would get this as an assignment
Yeah.
and just have to carry it out. Could you carry out this assignment?
Oh,
And could you
dear
do it
God.
better?
Oh, let's put all the mics on this guy.
Okay. The short answer is yes.
I already hate you, dude.
Okay.
You know why? Because I would have done something in the vein of what this filmmaker did. I would have done my homework. I would have seen what does this genre need, right? What does this genre call for? And how can I make it my own? Dude,
And how can I get Robert De Niro?
Right, that too. The 77 Camaro only exists because, and I quote, he said, I wanted the car that I wanted my whole life growing up.
But once I got it-
I felt old driving it. So I was like, I'm gonna stick it in the film. That's the only reason the car exists. I would have done that. You know, I would have gotten all the little tools to make a great picture, sprinkled in all of the stuff of a horror, all of the tropes, and made it my own, and it would have been fine.
I believe in you. I will
me too.
ride to the deepest pits of heck with you. But
We know there was going to be a love story.
I feel like you would have done this. And then Jason would have had a moment where he looks in the mirror and he's like, but why am I doing this?
Yeah.
No!
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think...
Yeah.
I don't think I would have done. I would have redefined the genre.
You would
but
have
what-
had the infermood.
But what I would have done is
theme.
leaned into the. It's an assignment. I would have probably directed it under a pseudonym. It's an assignment.
Oh,
I'm not
you
gonna
would've,
get.
though?
Yeah,
You
I would have allowed this to exist in the world where it needed to exist. I would have made it my own and given its own little tropes. But it's a horror slasher film. I'm not gonna try to make it this existential piece.
We all
it's
know
not
you
that.
would.
But I feel like it just sounds to me like you're taking the genre, like the film itself,
And hiding under it.
no, and then just saying that this is it's an easy thing.
That's
And I
kinda
don't
what it
think it's an
sounds like,
easy thing.
dude.
I
If there
feel
was
like
subtitles,
because
that's literally what you just said.
The translation.
We look at people like Eric. You
Yeah.
know that whenever he's writing a film or directing a film, there's a tone and a mentality that like is understood and recognized
Yeah.
by fans and writers and
Yeah.
directors. And I feel like that's something very hard to achieve.
It
So
is,
even though,
and I'm not diminishing
Yeah.
it. I'm not saying look, it's you should get the right storyteller for the particular
Yeah.
picture, right? So why they'd offer it to me, I don't know. But if they were, what I'm saying is I would do my homework enough to try to contribite to it in its genre.
Yeah.
I wouldn't try to take it out of that space because then I know it's gonna fail.
That's where we disagree with.
and you feel like you could satisfy the
I
genre.
would be happy about it, but I could, you know,
you could do a great job.
I've directed horror films in the past,
fighting with
man.
the studios, bro.
Name 15.
I've directed 2.
Yeah, you'll make
I
it a
would've done
musical,
Musical.
dude.
I'll make it a musical. There's some great horror musicals out there, though. No,
He has
but
the
no, you're
gondola,
right.
yeah.
If I had my druthers, if I were if Austin
the
was
forest.
producing this film, you know, he'd get Eric to direct it.
Yeah.
You got to get the right storyteller to direct this film.
Yeah.
You absolutely do. If it's an assignment, you get handed an assignment. You do the
Yeah.
film.
Yeah,
You
I
get-
agree with that.
You know.
You just gotta make it work.
Yeah, I think I would try to pay attention to those that came before it. If I'm making a slasher film in 2023, what makes a slasher film in 2023? Can I see these references and bring some of that back? I would have still done my homework. I don't think it's easy. That's the point.
Yeah.
And if you're gonna give me the film, I better do my homework or I'm gonna do a bad job. This
Yeah.
isn't my genre, you know. Whereas Eric is like, I can do this shit in my sleep. You know?
Exactly.
So it's important to know the difference. Yeah.
true.
I'm not trying to make it seem like
That was
it's
pretty cool,
that genre. It's just
Can
a
we
crazy.
ask our intern what the budget was on this film?
Before we do, I'd like to know his rating.
3 million.
3 million is a
That's
great
your rating?
rating. Great rating.
No,
That's
the budget,
amazing.
Dude.
the budget was 3 and made 19.
May 19.
19 billion.
This was 86. Rating, pal.
No, not billion, million, you idiot. I'm sorry.
Who gets a $3 billion budget? Not even Nolan gets a $3 billion budget.
Close though.
Yeah.
I think we should fire him.
All right. Well, before we do, can you give us your rating?
If I would have watched this 2 months ago, my rating would have been a lot
Oh,
worse.
whoa, what?
But
Why? 2 months ago?
It wouldn't have been.
after seeing Toxic Avenger,
Oh my gosh.
that has really like helped me appreciate this type of like
Right.
slasher,
Campiness, yeah.
campy horror.
Yeah.
As a horror, I'd give it like a solid 8.5.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair. Fair,
But
fair.
yeah.
I love
Jason,
8.5.
what do you think? Mr. Voorhees, I should say?
Oh yeah. Is there any fun fact that we know?
I
about
have
the
no
film?
idea.
Dang it,
bro. Jason Voorhees doesn't talk.
I read it. Well, yeah, go. Wait.
Yeah, I read another fun fact too.
I think it's supposed to be saying kill, 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 ma, ma, ma.
Yeah.
As in,
His mother.
the mom is hearing her kid say kill, kill, ma, ma.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
Wow.
Yeah. All right.
I
So
just think-
8.5.
Yeah, I think, again, like seeing something like Toxic Avenger when Eric forced us to watch it helped me appreciate it and have
It's
fun with myself.
important. That's why I
Yeah.
say, like, you know, curating cinema for somebody in that regard is like something they would have seen.
Yeah,
otherwise.
I never would have seen these. Like,
Yeah.
I never saw any of these growing up.
None of them.
I never saw any
This was your
Friday
first time
13s,
watching
yeah.
a Jason film?
Yeah.
Really?
Really?
Okay.
Yeah.
Same. Well, you had screened the other 3 today. That's interesting. Jeez. That's a question. Yeah. Okay. Fair.
On the actor's perspective,
Oh, dude.
I gotta take off the mask. For
The
this one.
sheriff, dude.
The sheriff.
sheriff, really?
Oh man, I'm going, dude.
Really?
You didn't believe anybody, dude.
Yeah.
Like, dude, there's a dead body right here.
Not even his daughter.
dude. You planted that.
you planted it.
I was like,
plant-
what's wrong with the sheriff, dude?
Yeah. No.
But
Also,
no,
can we talk about how like the sheriff was like, we got to put him away, and just takes him to the city limits and leaves him there.
Oh man, he had so many great one-liners too, and
Yeah.
I can't remember. Dang it.
Fart head, I remember.
Oh yeah.
That's a cop who doesn't want to do the paperwork. You know, like that's
Exactly, dude.
That was a callback to Rambo. Because, like,
Oh.
the first movie just drives Rambo all the way to the edge of town. Get the hell out of here.
okay.
I kind of went through my head too. But yeah, man. excellent performances.
That's who the sheriff is. The guy who you're
the
paying
guy
attention
that
to.
I would, yeah, exactly.
Really, you don't want to play the sheriff's role.
You wouldn't want to play like.
Why would I want to be Jason?
Look at this beautiful face. You know,
No,
who's the money maker?
You didn't want to be any of like the murder victims just because.
That's so campy and fun.
Yeah.
The guy in the RV would have been
Yeah, I would've
perfect.
been the guy in the RV for sure, dude.
The guy in the RV.
Just hauling ass, just ready to get laid.
Oh my god. No, I think Austin wanted me to ask this, like if anybody had like a favorite moment or a favorite kill from the movie.
Okay.
And I think my favorite was just any kill that happened on the RV because while that guy's rocking out and like his girlfriend's getting murdered, he's like, man, this is great.
I'm having
like,
such a good time. I'm having such a good time.
Yeah. Oh my god.
I think that paintball thing was good for me, man. That tree one was with the happy face. That was my favorite kill. Decapitation
Oh, man.
one? The girl? Or which one?
Oh, the paintball ones, no?
Yeah, it's when he kills the first three.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, people.
Yeah.
I like when he tears a guy's arm off and he's like, oh.
Yeah, he's got arm. Great. Another weapon.
Oh, also, interesting trope that I feel like was really established here, and I don't know if you remember the historical reference behind it, but slasher films historically needed to make their characters that were killed off like negative in some way or form. So like that's when they would make like the teens provocative, or they'd make the camp counselors arrogant.
Yeah. The teens aren't having sex, so why are you killing them? The director wanted to avoid that trope in this scenario, where you would think he'd want to add to it. He wanted to avoid it because he didn't want people to associate sex with negativity. So,
but it was a big thing. I know that, especially
especially in
when
this franchise.
Well, when the churches had more of an influence over like what cinema could release and all that kind of stuff, they really wanted to make sure that if a character did die or something bad happened, they were a bad person. Yeah, they committed some type of sin and all that kind of stuff. So the slasher movies really kind of like were able to steer into the curve with
inception.
that.
I mean, we're already in '86 at this point, right? So
Yeah.
we've kind of established a genre already. I don't think they needed to do that.
Yeah.
What you're saying is that we saw the trope in this film, or
With the girl?
No, we saw
final
a
girl?
little smidgen of it. It's just during the paintball scene when he's getting all mad that girl shot him. He's like, "Why can't you get back in the kitchen?" And he's just being like general
I guess
misogynist
that's always going to
character.
exist, right? And then like one of the camp counselors is like, when the kids get there, I'd rather be dealing with Jason Voorhees, you know?
Yeah.
And then they do.
Oh my god.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the exact reference. I don't know I know the historical context that you're talking about. I don't know the exact film that
Established
kicked
it.
it off for it. Yeah, I mean, I don't. But yeah, you're right. It's super popular. It exists in most slasher films,
Again,
especially
it
the
was
early
one of those
slasher
things
films.
where I feel like this is the culmination of all the like the tropes and
Yeah,
everything coming
yeah.
together.
No, yeah, I don't think they went that far for that specifically. I think he was having a little more fun with that. What I will say is, like, even in the casting choices, the lead was primarily known for Return of the Living Dead, right?
yeah,
He was the
that
lead,
Tommy guy.
So again, just getting a guy from a very popular horror film,
Yeah.
you're very popular, like, let's grab him and stick him in here and make him the lead. It's that kind of stuff I think that they were feeding into more than the meta stuff, right? More than
Was this also around
more
time
than the
of-
analytic stuff. You're thinking like a filmmaker, man. You're thinking on the analytic factor of like,
It's
oh
not
yeah,
time.
the sin, the thing. Yeah, I'm with you, but I don't think they went that far. What were you gonna ask?
I forgot.
Anyways, yeah, man. I mean, look, it's one of those. Watch them in October, and
Yeah.
throw them on and have a good time with them. I'm
the
more
month
of
to
the.
do so.
I know, like my cousin Bones is here for Fort Worth and Karen, so give it up for
He
them.
came all the way from.
all the way for this podcast, dude. It's crazy.
He's so
And for the
tired.
café de olla también.
So they're here, but we had a conversation a while back about the Universal Classic Horror Monsters, which is something I think people need to see too. Like use all of October to watch the Universal Classic Horror Monsters, the Jasons, the Freddys, the Michaels, and just have fun. Just have fun with them. Although the Universal Monsters you could analyze a lot more. They were a commentary on something of the time, which I won't get into now, but. These were just like, let's just have some fun.
Yeah.
And make some money doing it. And this is what made, this era of cinema is what made horror films a big moneymaker. This was it. This is what set up the stage. They still make money to this day.
Yeah.
So a lot of money. So I think it's that kind of
They're
thing.
still one of like the cheapest type of films.
Cheapest
to
types of
make.
film to make and can gross a ton of streams, a ton of money in the box office. Yeah, I agree. And they're all pretty terrible.
Exactly.
But they still make money. So if you're going to make a horror film, do your homework. Make a good horror film. Yeah, but I don't know. Final thoughts, gentlemen, about Friday the 13th.
Can't wait to see part 7.
Yeah, you can check out part 7.
How do you survive?
Watch
Oh, no,
it.
it's New
Can't
Blood.
wait to
Watch it
see
during the day,
part
man. I don't want you to have
12.
nightmares. Okay, watch it tomorrow morning.
Great.
Oh yeah, well you got that
Have your
mask.
mask on while you wear it, so that
Yeah,
way
there
you
you
feel
go.
tough.
He can't hurt me.
I'm him. Any thoughts? Any other thoughts?
My second favorite line in the film is when the two kids are in the bed and it's like, now that we know we're fresh meat,
Oh,
like, what were
dude.
you gonna be when you grew up?
That's a good one.
That's good. That's a great
one.
conversation. Yeah. Cool. Anybody else? Anybody else have any final thoughts on Friday the 13th or Part 6 specifically?
Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you
Yeah.
rate?
Anything else before we wrap up the show?
And then
Yeah.
the homie came late. Ah, come
The homie.
on.
Francis.
The homie came late, bro.
All good, brother. All good.
Yeah, it's all good, bro.
Anybody else got anything to say for Friday the 13th? Have fun. It's great. Yeah, have
That's
fun.
great.
Watch him. I'll tell you this much: he was my favorite character growing up. Like my favorite horror character.
That
growing
makes
up,
a lot of sense.
It does, right? Bones, you got a thought?
So this is just about the franchise, not the movie.
Yeah.
Halloween came out with a movie, what, last year?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You think if they would release a new Friday the 13th, would it hold up?
Oh, when was the last
I
one?
think it depends. I don't think it's as easy as yes because everybody's fighting for the fucking rights right now. Okay.
Oh, A24.
A24 just picked it up. Okay.
Oh, no way.
That'd be a good new take on Jason, but I think so as long as they get the right person.
The
Yeah,
last
that's-
one was in 2009.
2009. Which one was it?
Friday the 13th is what it was called.
Just Friday the 13th. Is it?
Yeah.
What she said earlier was that with the new CGI and stuff,
Yeah.
these films aren't what they were in the 80s, where it was all
Yeah.
Practical, huh?
practical. Yeah.
You're right.
So with the new Halloween, like I saw the new Halloween, and I personally didn't like it.
You didn't like it? The second one. The second one of the
The one
new.
with Jimmy Lee Curtis, like, they spoiler, they killed him.
Yeah.
I
liked it. I liked one of them.
I don't know.
I like the original
You didn't buy it.
Aged
You didn't buy
the
it.
movie
Yeah.
for some reason.
Yeah.
So like I don't.
Became more sentimental. That's probably why you didn't like it, right? I mean, it became more sentimental.
You could die on your foot.
I think it depends. I think the fact that A24 now holds the rights because it was between them, Paramount, and New Line. I think New Line
No,
Cinema
no,
was
no,
fighting
no,
them.
no, no, no.
Blumhouse. No, I don't think Blumhouse was.
Oh,
vouching for
Blumhouse
this.
would've been badass.
Maybe they were.
That would have been badass.
So if they were to get like the director from Midsummer, is it Ari Aster?
Ari Aster, yeah.
If you were to remake Friday the 13th, how would you think
It'd be
change
the
it?
wackiest.
No.
That's a
Look, Robert Eggers just remade
That's a
Nosferatu,
beautiful
man.
baby
We
right
can't
there.
discount that. Robert Eggers just remade Nosferatu.
Did it come out?
No, he just finished
In
production.
development.
Yeah, he
Oh,
just
okay.
finished production.
Our
Just
episode
finished
came
shooting.
out, though.
Our episode on Nosferatu has come out, so go check that out. But I think it would.
Frankenstein.
That's right.
Yes.
The
And it's
thought of
like
doing
50 years in the
Frankenstein.
making or something like
Yeah,
that.
the thought was doing Frankenstein, and Anya Taylor-Joy's in the cast. Yeah, they got a lot of great cast members. Yeah. So I think yes. I think the short answer is yes. I think it just depends for the right people to handle it. I think people are so sick of the version of Jason that we remember from the early 2000s, right? So
It would be great if they do practical effects instead of.
I think they will. A24 is not going to let this turn this into a CGI.
Just the CGI fest.
So I think A24 was a great
Yeah.
people to
Down
get
where
them.
Blumhouse would have been badass.
CGI is the right direction. Let's go back to space. Take Jason back to space.
Jason X, man.
Nah, man, he's gonna be sitting up there with Vin Diesel, and I'm gonna be pissed off.
He's gonna be bum, 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 bum. Hey.
I know. You know what? You can't kill Jason.
That's true. His mom, man. Yeah, no, there's already a connection there. I don't want it. That feels like an AI wrote the fucking script, man. I don't want it.
That's why he's so powerful. He's got fans.
He's got family.
he's got family.
Jesus Christ. No, I think.
There's a Tesla floating in space. It's hard to get that.
Yeah. No, that's fine.
No, I think A24 is great. I don't know who they're gonna pick. My guess is they're gonna get. They just rebooted the Texas Chainsaw
Oh, that was horrible, dude.
franchise. That David.
I grew up with it, though.
What was the director's name? Dave. He has like a 3-part name, but he.
Grohl?
No, not Grohl. David Grohl did not direct it, but it did okay. What my point with that is that A24 is gonna get a newcomer.
Yeah.
They're gonna get a new director to
Hell
give
yeah.
this fresh take on this film. Mark my words. But I think
Let
it could
me
be
write it
good.
down.
I think it's gonna go straight to streaming.
Yeah.
I don't think it's gonna survive in the theaters as much.
Well, I mean, a comeback since what 2009 when
Yeah.
the last one came out. It might.
Maybe it might get people's juices flowing, right, to go watch a horror film at the movies. I don't know. It's an unpredictable world right now. That's just where cinema's at. But I do think it'll hold up with the right person attached. Yeah.
Watch Friday the 13th.
So A24, but they had a joint with somebody. It wasn't New Line. New Line was fighting for it, and Paramount was fighting for it.
Oh man, that
Well,
was.
I think. Well, there was multiple companies fighting for it, but I think A24 finally got the rights to Halloween.
So it wasn't Friday the 13th?
No, they already had it.
Oh, okay.
They already bought it. Like,
It's because they're in a big kick right now.
Yeah, they have like a joint thing with New Line or with somebody, no?
It's Warner's and New Line now.
It's Warner's and New Line that have it?
There's technically two versions from what I understand. I could be wrong. They have the rights to Friday the 13th, the name. The first movie, the first script.
Okay.
But they don't have the rights to adult Jason.
That's right, because the writer-director had the rights only to that one.
The writer only has the rights to the first Friday the 13th and the original script.
Yeah, so...
But the director has the rights
So
to
then maybe
all of them.
he told, or whoever, his estate, whatever, sold it to A24, where to whatever, the character of Jason is owned by Warner's and New Line. That's probably what's happening, right?
There could be two Jasons at
Yeah,
the same time.
yeah.
It's like
There was
Batman.
at some point, because there was a series.
Well, but there's no Jason in that one.
Well, that's what I mean. That's my point.
That was in the 90s.
Yeah,
All right, that's too much nerd talk. All right.
Yeah, sorry. Anyways, go check out Friday the 13th. The next time we'll be at the Film Cafe will be the second Friday of November.
1 second. As long as Doug's okay with it, we'll be back on November 10th with
November
the Star
10th,
is Born.
we should be back in, but I'll confirm
With,
that. We'll confirm that on our social media.
With the Star is Born.
With A Star is Born, we're gonna do Bradley Cooper's specifically.
wanna
A Star is
cry,
Born.
dude.
You are gonna cry. It's November.
That's not a Thanksgiving film.
What is a Thanksgiving film for you, though?
One with turkey and family.
Turkey and family?
Yeah.
The Addams Family.
There we go.
Say again?
Planes, trains,
Oh, that'd be a great pick.
Take that.
No, but Austin wants to cry, man. Let him cry. Jeez.
Well,
it's his
because
pick.
Maestro comes out in November, so.
What do you mean? Oh, Maestro. Yeah. Bradley Cooper's new film.
Anyway, we'll be back.
We'll be back at the Film Cafe.
Aaron and George's Film Cafe.
Aaron and George's Film Cafe.
Next Monday, The Shining.
Best
105
cafe.
Texas. Yeah, next
sandwiches.
episode next Monday, The Shining. This episode drops in a couple days, 3 days or whatever, and then a week from there, The Shining. We just did an episode on The Shining. Most of us had some problems with it, so go check it out. That was a really great
Monsters.
conversation.
Yeah, everybody hated it. except for me.
Tore that film apart, man. I really did tear that film apart.
It was brutal.
You and I like choke slammed The Shining, man.
Yeah,
You
we
love-
had to get a new table. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Dude, I left
no,
home
they all
crying.
loved it actually. Except I turned them.
I
I kind of
tried to
turned you.
justify it. It was
I
sad.
kind of turned you. Anyways,
But please
go check
watch
out The
that
Shining, the Shining episode on the WatchTower. And then we'll jump into our last episodes for the year.
Oh.
Coming up on November, December. We got some
Reeling it
Christmas
in.
picks that are going to be fun too. So stay tuned for all of that and join us if you can next month at the Film Cafe. Please subscribe and help us like, comment, and share.
And for everybody who stuck around.
Yeah, thank you for all the
guys,
audience.
thank you so much.
Hanging around.
Really appreciate it.
This is why we love doing this here. We could just keep doing this from our studio, but we like doing it here because of this, the element
Collaboration.
of
The food, the cafe, everything.
But most importantly, the people. Talking to people about cinema.
Yeah, mostly
That's
the food for
point.
me.
That's the point of all of this. So thank you guys for sticking around and having a conversation with
Yeah,
us about
absolutely.
cinema. I got to thank Doug and Rebecca. Thank you guys so much.
you guys are the most awesome people in the world right here.
Take care of us so much, man. We love them. Yeah, Rebecca's not here. I think I saw her earlier. Oh, okay. Well, Rebecca, thank you so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. So thank you guys for tuning into the WatchTower Film Podcast. Stay tuned for more great stuff. Follow us on social media. You'll get all the updates there. Thank you guys so much for tonight. Good night.
Love you
Good night,
guys.
everybody.